Welcome to the latest series of the FODcast, where we bring you the latest insights into the future of digital commerce. In Season 6, we continue to interview some of the most respected professionals in the industry as we broaden the topics to cover what it takes to build a business within e-commerce, navigating through business change, as well as the future of technology within digital commerce. As we continue our journey to have one of the best podcasts within commerce, we ask you to like and share within your network if you enjoy our content. Hello, and welcome back to the FODcast, the future of all things digital commerce. Today, I'd like to welcome Fiona Stevens, Marketing Director for LoyaltyLion, as we continue with the theme of promotions, discounts, and loyalty, a timely subject given we're recording 2 days out from Black Friday. Welcome, Fiona.
Hi, thanks very much for having me.
Thank you for joining. Fiona, you've been with LoyaltyLion for a long time now, I think 7 years to be precise. So do you want to give a quick summary of your experience to date?
Yeah, absolutely. So, marketing director at LoyaltyLion. We are a loyalty platform for Shopify stores. We help Shopify brands create their own integrated loyalty programs so that they can really increase returning customer rates and really drive revenue growth through retention. I've been working in marketing for around 16 years, been focused on e-commerce and loyalty for around a decade now. So very much a favorite topic for me.
Awesome. Someone that is very well placed for this very conversation then. It's certainly something I'm looking forward to. As I've said a number of times now on the show, loyalty is an area I believe many brands can improve. So I think it's a good place to start by jumping in with your thoughts on the current state of play within retail.
Yeah, absolutely. I think retail is a very interesting place to be at the moment for a few reasons. I think firstly, competition. There are so many stores selling very, very similar things. It's really, you need to find a way to stand out. If you're selling the same products, then that has to be your brand. I think that combined with the fact that acquisition costs are really increasing, and I'm sure this is something we'll talk about today because it's very pertinent, but all those people shopping online and you need to be the one that reaches them, which is costing more and more all the time. And then actually your consumers are just getting more demanding as well. We are used to online shopping now. We know what we want. We know what we want to see from brands. And when you put all those three things together, I think, it's not an easy challenge anymore in retail.
It's certainly not. No, I just look at myself as an example of a customer, and just to think about how my expectations have changed over the last few years. And I mean, I'm not a huge online shopper. I know there's plenty out there that shop online far more than me, but we just have the expectation now of seamless process, like next day delivery, easy return process, like best deal out there. You don't want all the faff, and you go back a few years and you didn't mind that, but now it's like, okay, we've just been Amazonized, if that's even a word.
Yeah, and I think it's super interesting for other brands that aren't Amazon, and aren't some of the really juggernaut Alibaba, how do you actually deliver the same service when you don't have anything like the same resource or operational logistical tools behind you? It's difficult to meet those consumer expectations when you don't have what Amazon has at your behest.
Yeah, and I think that's why loyalty is so important, because I know if I were a brand, I would want to make sure that I kept my customers and I didn't lose them to any competitors. Now, easier said than done, but there's a number of things that they can do, which I'm sure we'll depict over the course of the conversation today, to both interact and keep their customers. Or for, yeah, I guess a good starting point is like how can we improve loyalty?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest sort of misinterpretations around loyalty is that it has to be a really big project. You can only invest in a loyalty program if you're really going to make it all singing, all dancing, Tesco's Club Card, Nectar style, that level. And I just don't think that's true. I think you can start really small and you can start really simple. Once you have a customer, you have somebody who can come back and repeat purchase from you. And they've already bought from you, they already like you, and they already trust you. So it's going to be easier to convert them a second time than it is to bring someone in for the first time. So yeah, I think although you might focus heavily on acquisition at the beginning of your journey, and yes, you probably need to build up that customer base, you don't want to wait too long before you start thinking about how to bring those people back, particularly because, as we just said, there's a lot of people selling very similar products in the market. If you're in some industry like beauty, you can actually just go to Sainsbury's and buy your shampoo, conditioner while you're buying your groceries. It's very easy to lose people. So I think, when it comes to why loyalty and why it's so important, as soon as you've got customers, you've got people that can be advocating for you, but also people that can be coming back for that second purchase. So really, instead of being scared of retention, people need to start going with it a little bit earlier than they are at the moment.
Okay, you mentioned the total cost of acquisition has increased quite a bit recently. Do you have any data to hand as to kind of maybe the percentage increase over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I believe it is around 60% in the last 5 years. So,
Okay,
and
wow.
I'm gonna get the numbers wrong, but I'm not going to put a dollar amount to that because I can't remember the exact numbers. But it used to be that bringing a customer back cost you pennies, and now you're looking at a whole lot more. It's incredible because so many more people are advertising on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. Just the cost to get yourself seen on there is exponential.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Mm.
But that is a large increase, 60% give or take. So it's going to be felt by the brand, obviously in terms of their margins, and I mean ultimately down to the customer as well in terms of the cost of the product.
Yeah, I don't quote me on this. I would have to fact check myself, but I think it's something like it used to cost about you'd get about 9p cost per click, and now you're looking at more like 35p. That kind of increase. That's not,
Okay.
but something along those lines.
Okay. I mean, yeah, regardless, it's a substantial increase,
Mm.
which is obviously something that's going to be playing on a lot of brands' minds. Um, so you mentioned that we can kind of doesn't need to be a big complex project. You can start small. So what are the top things that you're seeing brands do?
Yeah, I think it depends where you are in what you do depends on where you are in your loyalty journey. Obviously, if you are starting out and you're just starting to build things, I think it can be as simple as just awarding customers for really simple things, like if they create an account, give them points for that. If they make a purchase, give them points for that, and allowing them to exchange those points for really simple rewards like money off, percentage voucher off your next purchase, money off your next purchase, etc. It could be a dollar amount or a percentage. But then, once they start engaging with that program, once you build up a loyal customer base, you build up a following, you can really start extending that out. You can start to offer points for other things as well. So, and actually things that benefit your brand as well. So you might offer points in exchange for social media likes and follows. You might offer points for reviews or referrals, things that actually help you acquire new customers as well. And then you can start making, you're giving your customers more and more ways to earn points, but then you can start making the rewards that they come back and redeem more exciting as well. So we're seeing a lot of people do things like free product rewards. So instead of just money off the next purchase, you can say redeem your points for this sample size of our latest moisturizer that we've just launched, things like that, which again just get people a bit more excited. Then you can sort of move into things like experience-based rewards, things like access to double points days or invites to exclusive events, be the first one to try new products, that kind of thing. So there's very much a journey from your bog standard points and rewards program through to something that's a lot more engaging. But I think, sorry, you asked for the top things that brands can do. I think, the first and foremost, most important thing really is to integrate your loyalty program on site. So, the more your program appears at all the natural points of a customer journey, the more engagement you're going to see. You really want to have a standalone integrated loyalty page that showcases your program. You need it to show people why they should join it, what's the benefit, what do they need to do, how easy is it to use. The easier it is, the more people will engage with it. It should be really personalized. They should be able to see their points balance. They should be able to see how many rewards they have available to them, all that kind of thing. And you can do some really beautiful pages. We've got some clients The Inkey list is one I would recommend having a look at. Also Waterdrop, they both have beautiful pages. They're actually very fun. They make you genuinely excited about engaging with the program and seeing what you can get as a loyalty program member. And then I think if you've got that integration on site, you also need it outside of their shopping online as well. So typically, the best advice we can give a brand is to integrate their loyalty and their email strategy. We know that people are more likely to open emails and SMS messages if they know that those are personalized. So, if you start to get used to a brand sending you much more personalized messages, you're going to open them in future a lot more. So using your loyalty data to really add that unique information, things like just putting at the end of a post-purchase email, did you know you earned this many points and you've unlocked this reward? Or sending people emails to say, you're this many points away from your next rewards, you should come back and shop. Those are really nice ways of using loyalty and email together to provide a very personalized experience. And actually, it's a great vehicle then to promote your program as well. I think Astrid and Me are a fantastic example of a brand where they actually feature their loyalty program in every email they send. They have a block that sits in that email, whether it is a post-purchase order confirmation or a marketing email about something completely different. They will always feature the loyalty program because it's really important to them that people join and experience it. And then I think, as you get more advanced and more sophisticated, it really is about tiers and gamification. You want as many people as possible to join your program. That's where the integrated page comes in. You then want as many people as possible to keep on engaging with it. And that's where email is so important. But then you get to sort of, okay, how do I really use this to increase the lifetime value of my customers? How do I really use it to motivate more purchases, reduce time between purchases, that kind of thing? And that's where tiers come in. Effectively, and by tiers, I mean a very simple sort of bronze, silver, gold. If you're in bronze, you unlock some basic things like maybe birthday gifts, free shipping. Move up to silver and you get exclusive access to new product launches, etc. And then the gold tier can be, in some cases, absolutely wild. And AU Vodka is one of my favorite examples of tiers because what they give you in the top tier is crazy. They've got they do things like VIP access to their events, but then they also let you join product groups, focus groups, that kind of thing. They invite you to engage with influencers. They give you priority access to limited edition products as they drop as well. So, you're really, their gold tier is really showing people a different side to the brand. You're not just buying something, you're not just buying a bottle of vodka. You're really, starting to engage with the brand on an ongoing basis. They do some really cool things around holiday sales as well. So, for example, they will lock down their entire site and only certain tier members are actually able to buy at that point. And again, that just encourages people to, if you're only going to be able to access the site over Black Friday, for example, if you're a such and such tier member, you're going to spend the whole year making sure you are such and such a tier member. So it's really,
you buy your vodka from there, not from Sainsbury's, right? So
exactly. So it's a clever way of keeping people engaged all the time. Also showing that you appreciate them. If people spend a lot and engage a lot in order to hit those higher tiers, so you really want to make it worth their while. And then obviously the benefit of that is they'll talk about it. If you get invited to an amazing AU Vodka event, you're almost certainly going to be putting that on Instagram. And
yeah,
then
exactly.
more people hear about your tiers, more people want to join your tiers. So
And just on the note of this this AU Vodka piece for the gold tier members or whatever we're going to call them, like going to that kind of event is something that it almost links back into a community feel as well. And I know from a number of conversations over the last year that brands that have invested in communities that also seem to be thriving at the minute, is that seems to be where the real buzz is. It gets them active on socials, as you've mentioned, lots of hashtags, lots of resharings, etc. And suddenly that brand is just getting promoted from tens of thousands of people that wouldn't have maybe done that beforehand. So it's really unlocking that extra digital extra marketing as well.
100%, your loyal customers, your loyal community are your biggest advocates. They're the most likely to talk about you. And it's lovely to see some of the bigger brands sort of really realizing this, but making the most of it as well. I think we were talking to Represent Clothing recently on a case study that's and their Facebook community is incredibly engaged. It's great to see their customers talking to each other, getting excited about new products together. And I think it's actually something that comes down from some of the best loyalty programs. Like Sephora is probably the best loyalty program in the world. You know, we all wish we could be like Sephora, but one of the things they do best is community. You know, the customers answer each other's questions. They don't need someone from the support team online asking questions about the products, because the community are answering each other's questions on it. And,
That's
you know,
really
once
cool.
you
Yeah.
get that kind of engagement, obviously we can't all be a brand that big, but they're doing it fantastically well. And it's nice to see other people starting to pick it up as well.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I wasn't aware of that about Sephora. But touching upon Represent again, that's another brand that's very community driven. They do a lot of stuff, particularly in Manchester where they're from, with run clubs and health and fitness and what have you. So again, it's really engaging in the community. And obviously we don't all know, but anyone that knows the brand Represent knows that they've been through a huge growth over the last sort of 3 or 4 years. And it's a testament to kind of the image that they built for themselves. But I mean, you touched upon so many like really cool topics just there. I can't remember all of them, but just a couple to go back to, I think, which are really good is the the point you mentioned in integrating the email, and just how powerful an email can be, saying that, hey, thanks for your purchase. Did you know you're only 15.99 away from moving up a tier? If you move up to that tier, you will unlock X, Y, and Z. You're going to be
Mm.
like, great, I want to go, what can I buy for 15.99? Like I want to move up to that tier. Like even if you don't know what you get for that tier, you're going to be like, I want to get there, because it's just the way that we're wired. We want to get to that next level all the time. And like I said, I'm not a massive online shopper, so this may happen more than I'm aware of. But in my experience, these sorts of things, they don't happen as often as I feel like they could do, and probably and should do.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, it's funny that you said then, you know, I might not even know what's in the tier above. And we are actually seeing some brands do hidden tiers. So the very top tier is actually exclusive, and you don't get to see what's in it until you join. And I think that's
Okay.
quite an interesting approach as well. So really, you know, then you know you really are a VIP when you hit that tier. So
Got
that's
it.
quite an interesting approach that we're seeing a bit more these days.
Yeah, just hopefully you're not gutted once you get there, right? You spend a fortune and then you're like, ah, damn, didn't want any of this.
So hopefully it's
Um,
going to be a while, but
but that was cool, and I guess that's something that's going back to the start of the journey, like you said. I mean, everyone can look at a good integrated email campaign within their loyalty. I don't imagine it's something that's particularly expensive, and it just gives that teaser to the customer. It gets them engaged, and it gets them back on your website. And it also it gets them, okay, well, cool. If I buy this from you again, then I'm going to move up there. Maybe not even making them buy something immediately, but it's just that thought process of, okay, next time I want to buy my such and such, I'll go back to this website rather than go on Google and search for best deals or whatever it might be.
yeah, 100%.
Something that I figured would be interesting to talk about now, and it's an experience that I had really recently. And this just sums up me online shopping. So normally I go on Amazon. I need to get some more face cream, and I generally use Clinique. Amazon didn't have it in stock for like the first time ever, so I've had to Google Clinique. Fortunately, it's Black Friday, so there's a lot of deals, and actually Clinique themselves are doing the best deal. But
Yeah.
what I found really interesting, and I don't know if this is something that's easily amended or not. I've gone on the website as a guest, um, and it's offered me two free products after placing an order of a certain value. Now,
Mm.
all of those products are women's products, despite all of my order being male. And it amazed me that the website couldn't understand that I was buying products for a man. So I've had to order two products for females, which I mean, I'm not just going to waste them, but that could just be wasted products, which is a waste for the environment, and B, an impact on Clinique's margins. So I guess my question to you, Fiona, would be like, is this an easy workaround? Is this something that would fit within your kind of area of expertise? Would LoyaltyLion know I was a male if they had LoyaltyLion integrated in their platform?
Well, I mean, it would depend if you had an account and you'd signed up, but that is a super interesting use case, and yeah, a bit disappointing, really, in this day and age that you wouldn't be shown the men's versions. I agree. I think what you can do with the loyalty program, and what again not enough people are really doing, is use it as a vehicle to collect more data and more information about a person. So it would obviously, if someone's a guest shopper, it's difficult. I would agree. You've bought a man's product, should be fairly obvious. But if you're a guest shopper, it is harder to figure out. But if you can get somebody into your loyalty program, then you can really start using your program to collect more data that you can then use to personalize product recommendations, etc. So one thing we see people do really well is you incentivizing profiles or quizzes with points. So complete this quiz and you'll receive 100 loyalty points. And there's a few use cases that I really like, actually. There's a dog food brand, Edgard and Cooper, and they will give you points if you stop and take the time to create a pet profile. So it will ask you questions about your pet, like what's their name, when were they born, but also things like any dietary requirements, and what kind of coat do they have, those kinds of things. Then they'll actually use the dog's name in the emails. So obviously everyone immediately thinks that's very cute, and dogs are gold for marketing. So it suddenly feels like they're addressing you and your pet, who you love very much. So that works really well. But then also they'll start tailoring the offers and the deals that they send you and the products that they surface to you based on your dog's personal dietary requirements or the type of coat that they have, etc. I also saw a lovely example recently, a company called Lace Laboratory. So they are an underwear brand, and they actually use their quiz. Again, it's something like 100, 150 points for anyone who completes it. But they used it to try and understand your purchasing patterns. So they asked questions like, how regularly do you purchase underwear? Do you purchase underwear as a gift for somebody else, etc.? And they, then they can use that. They can start feeding that back into their marketing. If someone says once every 2 years, you don't want to bombard them once every week with an offer or a deal, but if you know that they buy once a year, you might, email them a great offer every 6 months and try and bring that purchase frequency up without annoying them. I guess another good example is probably someone like the Inkey list, again, who use it to sort of understand they're a beauty brand, so they want to know your skin type, your hair type. Do you have oily skin, normal skin? Do you have greasy hair, fine hair? Then again, they can start using that information to send you the products that you are most likely to buy. And obviously it's great for you as a brand because you get more data, you get to surface the right things, but it's great for a consumer as well because you just don't get all the stuff that you wouldn't buy. You wouldn't get emails from Clinique about women's products if
if they knew I was a man, right?
Exactly. So I think there is a definite challenge for retailers at the moment. More and more, obviously, we had the whole can't say the word, cookie apocalypse, I think they called it, where Google started, changing the rules on that. Consumers have got a lot more sensitive about their data, a lot more private about what they're willing to share. You do have to be a bit more careful now, and you have to be very careful with the email rules as well. There's all this, again, silly word, but they called it Yahoogle. Yahoo and Google made lots of changes to how frequently you can send emails, who you can email, that kind of thing. So
You say that, but I mean, I still get 20, 30, 40 emails a day, and it's the same brands like 4 or 5 times a week. I'm getting emails from them, and I feel like I unsubscribed 2 years ago, but that's still happening.
it's true. It may take a while. It's a bit like GDPR. It'll take a while for it to really
Yeah.
bed in, but people are starting to be fined, I believe. But yeah, I just think it's the more you can use your loyalty program to collect the information, the more you can make it an experience that actually you're not going to mind receiving those emails because they're really relevant to you.
Yeah. So I love the idea of the quiz. I'm trying to think if I've had I feel like I have been sent a couple of quizzes from brands maybe over the last year, but not none that stand out. But I think it's such a good way to interact with your specific client base. It allows you to get their data that's specific to them that will allow you to then understand buying habits, like you said, products that are of interest, anything that's then going to allow you to then hit them with really tailored products and or promotions. And I think from a customer point of view, if it is a brand that I do shop with regularly, I would have no issues giving them that data. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I wouldn't go on a random website and then spend 5 minutes filling out a quiz for 100 loyalty points that I might never use. But for any brand that I use consistently, I would be more than happy to spend 5, maybe even 10 minutes answering that quiz if it meant if I knew that off the back of that, I would then only be targeted with relevant products and promotions. I think it's worthwhile. To me, that's a really simple thing that brands can probably integrate, probably at a very little cost. that could have a really big impact on their ROI over time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think loyalty is a value exchange. It has to be a two-way street. If you want consumers to come back and repeat purchase from you, you have to make it worth their while. If you want them to engage with a loyalty program, you have to make it attractive and make it obvious to them why it is of benefit to do so.
Yeah, I really like that idea. So something really simple that can be done. That just out of interest, is that common practice in the market? Are there a lot of brands that are doing that?
Getting more so,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
Okay. I imagine even more so with the rise of like D2C over the last couple of years, I guess these are the sort of brands that really want that information. So it's yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah, I think there's probably a tipping point where you start to invest more in your CRM strategy. You go from, I've got a great database at last, it's taken me ages to build up this database, I'm going to email everyone, to, okay, I have a CRM marketer who is actually dissecting that database and really looking at which emails should go to who and how are they performing and what can you do to make them more relevant. I think there's yeah, probably a tipping point somewhere there where it
Okay.
becomes very worthwhile.
So we've got the obvious benefits with customer loyalty, which would be the increase in loyal customers, like high baskets and what have you. What other benefits do we see in the market outside of this?
Yeah, I think there's a few really. I'm biased, but obviously loyalty helps everywhere. But I think one big area is probably around returns. We know returns are one of the biggest headaches that e-commerce stores have at the moment. But the customers who are most loyal to you and repeat purchase from you regularly, they know you and they know know your products. If you think of the brands that you buy from the most, let's say clothing wise, you know what size fits you. So you order that size and you don't need to return it. Well, you definitely don't order two and return one. Same with beauty products, you keep buying it because you know it works for you. So I think the more you can engage customers into a loyalty program and drive that repeat purchase, the better they get to know you and your products, and the lower your returns will be. I think there's also, they tend to come to you based on recommendations. Loyal customers are great for referrals. So if you referred customers, I think, are 4 times more likely to buy than customers that you acquire through other channels. They come to you with an inherent level of trust because they've been recommended by a friend or a family member. So again, the returns rate is just less from those customers than it would be normally. So I think, that especially around holiday season, returns are even more of an issue. Especially people buying multiple versions of the same product, trying them on at home and then sending 4 out of 5 back. So yeah, I think reduced returns is definitely something people don't necessarily tie to a loyalty program, but is a serious benefit. I think you also just see higher conversion rates across your whole site. Your loyalty program will give you a reasonable amount of awareness. We've already talked about incentivizing things like social likes and follows with loyalty points. We've also talked about somebody has a great experience with your tiers, they're more likely to talk about it online. But the other thing actually is reviews. So we strongly recommend that people incentivize reviews with loyalty points, and you can be quite smart about it. You can say, okay, have 50 points for a written review, 100 points for a review that has a picture, and 150 points for a video review. So you start to generate more and more and more of that really good quality user generated content. You can then use that across all of your product pages. You can use it across your social media, you can use it everywhere. And that, again, it just means a far higher conversion rate when people actually get to the site to buy from you. And then I think there's a massive correlation, or maybe not correlation, relationship between product and loyalty. I think the product team and the marketing team are, in some cases, can be a bit separate and a bit siloed, but actually they can really help each other out. We talked about AU Vodka's tiers and the fact that they allow top tier members to be part of a focus group. What could be better than hearing straight from your customers, what they think of the new product you're building, or what they thought of the old one and what they think you could do better. With your loyal customers, you've got a bank of people who love your product and probably think quite regularly about what could be better or what they'd love to see from you. So, there's a minefield of information, a gold mine of information, sorry, not a minefield, and definitely worth tapping into. But then I think there's also other ways that the marketing team, especially on the loyalty side, can really help out product. For example, excess inventory. You might finish the year with a whole bunch of stuff that you haven't shifted and just want to get rid of it. It's costing you to store it. It's you can't put it online. You might have to really discount it if you put it online. So you can actually start working that into your loyalty strategy if you think of using them as free product rewards, for example. So anybody who's making a purchase and has 100 points can access this pair of sunglasses that you just have sitting around that you didn't manage to sell, or accessories like belts, those smaller products that you didn't manage to shift and are sitting there costing you money could actually just be fed into your loyalty program as free rewards along the way. So yeah, I think there's people don't quite stop and think enough about how loyalty and product tie together, but there's a big opportunity for a wider halo effect on that one.
A number of ways. That last one was really cool. And I really like going back to the AU Vodka top tier, and just how they can utilize their customers for real-time feedback on products, on what they want to see, and all that kind of stuff, because that's just so valuable.
Yeah.
Knowing what your customers want is the way forward for the business, right? If you don't know what your customers want, then you're going to potentially run into issues when you're releasing products that they're not going to buy. So I think that's
Yeah.
really cool. And even just hearing about kind of how they reward their customers and what they're doing is I don't drink vodka, but it's making me want to go and buy something. Do you know what I mean? It does have that kind of cool kind of air to the business as well.
Yes, I mean they are a very cool brand. Yeah, the packaging, everything about them, the influencers they work with, very, very cool brand. But I think as a strategy, it can work for a lot of different brands selling a lot of different types of products. And I think if I was part of the journey of a product, if I knew that I had fed back on moisturizer from Clinique, for example, and then a new
Mm.
Clinique moisturizer hit the market, I would definitely buy it because I'd be like, I had a part in that. I contributed to that, and I really want to see what they did with the information as well. So I
Yeah.
think, it's a great way of securing that repeat purchase.
That's what I mean. Imagine, let's use the clinic example, and once a year, all of their top tier members got invited to somewhere in London or anywhere for that matter, to sample their new products,
Yeah.
and you get like this experience there. You get to be one of the chosen ones to sample the new product, to give your feedback and whatever else. You're going to feel really special. And I mean, all you've done is buy their product,
Yeah.
and what you're getting in return is to sample their new product, which they need you to do anyway to know how good it is. So it's kind of a win-win for the brand, right?
It is 100%. Yeah.
So yeah, I wonder if we'll start to see more examples like this. Because I struggle right now on the spot. I'm struggling to think of any reasons why they wouldn't do it. I don't see the cost being particularly high, depending on what the experience is. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah.
And I think there's ways of keeping it not costly as well. I mean, I suppose it would be easier for brands who have a physical presence to do exclusive events. If you have a store where you can hold that kind of event, it's going to be a lot easier. So e-commerce brands might struggle, but we actually see people doing great webinars as well. It was the Inkey list, but there's another one escaping me right now where they actually get their founders to do webinars to talk about the brand, why it's come to life, why it's been developed, what are they trying to achieve as a brand. So it's not quite as much fun as going in store and trying all the products, but it's a way of building that connection. You can make it very exclusive to your top tier members, so only they can unlock that exclusive content. So I think there are cost effective ways of doing it as well.
Yeah, I guess it goes down to the creativity, I guess, of the people within the business and the partners they work with as to how they can make it work. But yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a lot that can be done still, to really improve the customer experience and the loyalty, and obviously that only has positive impacts for the brand itself. So I like it. I like where we might be heading. I feel like there could be lots of cool free stuff coming our way as consumers over the next few years, if we're loyal, that is.
If you're loyal, yeah.
Yeah. So what does, in your opinion, what does the future of loyalty look like?
Oh, good question. I think there are two big themes that we'll see in 2025. I think having just said that not everybody has an online channel, I do think omnichannel is going to be a big thing next year. I think, a lot of people have said to me recently that they are enjoying going back to the high street to do their shopping and browsing stores in real life. And I think there, if if you're going to really capitalize on that, you probably do need a physical presence as well. It could just be a pop-up that you run once a year. It doesn't necessarily have to be a store that you have all year round. That's how Gymshark started with their presence. But yeah, I think we will see a lot more brands coming back to some form of physical presence. But what will be really important is that you have a consistent customer experience across that. So to go back to Represent Clothing, one of my favorites, but they have really nailed this recently. They have opened up their new store in Manchester. They have brought in all sorts of things, physical loyalty cards, queue jump for loyalty program members, and they have people queuing round the block for their stores.
Yeah, the
If
queues are
you're
crazy.
Yes, if you're a loyalty program member, you get that queue jump in real life as well as online. I think it's just about wrapping up your online and offline experiences into one. You need to make sure that if you have a loyal customer, you recognize them everywhere that they're shopping and you give them the same kind of experiences and perks everywhere that they're shopping. And I think we're going to see more brands focusing on that next year. The other thing is actually, I think, around resale and kind of pre-loved items. I think everybody's probably tried Vinted at this point, whether you're buying or selling. And I think it's a really interesting challenge for brands because if people are buying your clothes through Vinted, they're still wearing your brand. Your brand is still out there being seen. So it's not a loss. But if people are buying secondhand from Vinted, they're not buying new from you.
Mm.
So I think that has been something that people have had to wrap their heads around. Vinted is fantastic from a cost of living crisis perspective, from a sustainability perspective. But I think next year we're going to start to see brands taking that market share of the secondhand market back. So brands like Lululemon have been doing this for a while. They integrate a bit of a pre-loved sale area with loyalty, so you can earn points if you recycle your leggings, you can earn points for doing so. Other loyalty program members can then buy those leggings secondhand. A few of our clients do it very well as well. Never Fully Dressed have been doing it again for a good few years. Lucy and Yak, they're very focused on sustainability, very focused on recycling garments rather than going into landfill, etc. They again will give you loyalty points if you send back your items, and then other Lucy and Yak members can buy them pre-loved secondhand. So I think yeah, I'm really excited to see more brands getting in on that. I think it's difficult as an e-commerce brand to change your operations to be fully sustainable. We are, at the end of the day, still, it needs to be delivered, it needs to be packaged. You can do as much as you can. But there are still people who will not want to buy firsthand because of the impact on the environment. And I think it's a very interesting way of keeping your brand awareness really high, keeping your products in circulation with as many people wearing them as possible. But getting that kind of positive spin on, not spin, but positive impact on sustainability as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. And so you mentioned that there's a few brands that have been doing this quite well for some time, and probably a number that are going to start to pick this up as well. And I would be interested to see how they develop and the impact that has on marketplaces like Vinted. Because I mean, the Vinted just seems to be going from strength to strength. And I mean, as you said, I think everyone now has had some kind of experience with Vinted, whether it be buying or selling. I also think it unlocks a different type of customer as well for brands, depending on whether or not they get access to it outside of the loyalty program that they're running. As an example, um, brands like Lululemon, Represent, etc., then they're not the cheapest of brands, and they probably have a lot of they probably have a lot of fans, but not customers because they can't afford 100 and something pounds per garment. Um, but actually buying it second hand, where it's maybe 50% of the cost, they may then be able to purchase something, and if they're going direct to the brand rather than through Vinted, they will then be able to capture that person's data and then almost create a whole second type of customer profile for those that want to wear the brand but can't afford the fully priced brand.
Yeah, and look, it could completely change your demographic as well.
Mm.
I can see a world where you have all of the university students wearing Lululemon, whereas when I was at university a very long time ago, you would have been wearing Primark because you could possibly have afforded Lululemon. And then suddenly every student wants to wear it, and suddenly you're selling to a whole different group of people than you ever thought you could. So
That's
it could
it.
really expand your demographics as well.
And I also think on that point that as a customer, many people don't mind about buying second hand now either. And I think even just going back to when I was younger, you didn't want to buy something second hand because you kind of it's not new. But
Yeah.
I feel like we don't have those same issues anymore. It's like cool if you want to wear a brand, then you wear the brand as long as the product's in good condition, whether it be a t-shirt or whatever. As long as it's clean and it's in a good condition, then you're going to wear it.
Yeah, I think as well, we've sort of adopted, fast fashion changed everything a little bit. We don't wear clothes for years and years and years anymore. We don't wear them out even. Half the stuff that you sell on Vinted or donate to a charity shop, you've worn a few times and you're actually just not, you just don't really like it that much,
Mm.
or you've worn it, so you don't want to wear it again. Um, I think also it probably comes back to that returns piece. A lot of people buy online and just aren't organized enough to return it within the window,
Yep.
and then it all ends up on Vinted. So that actually could be another way of stores getting their products back without having to go through the returns process ultimately.
Yeah, and yeah. I guess there's loads of different ways you can spin it up, but I think that's really cool. I'm interested to see how that develops, and I just wonder how many brands we will see over the next 2 or 3 years that do have their own like pre-loved section. So I feel like there's a good opportunity there for a lot of them,
Yes.
particularly the higher ticket brands as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. So something else I wanted to touch upon before we wrap things up, Fiona, is acquisition-led marketing. Now, for anyone else into their fitness, I'm sure you'll know where I'm heading with this, but every single day, all of us get bombarded with emails from brands like MyProtein, Bulk, the Protein Works, and many others for that note, with their best deals. To be honest, I just find it annoying. First of all, the price it's discounted from was never really the original price. I've never seen anyone pay £90 for a tub of protein from my protein, yet that's the RRP for 40, 50% off or whatever. And secondly, just give me a price. Like, I don't want to buy something today to then get an email about the product being cheaper tomorrow. And that generally happens regularly. So yeah, I guess what are the dangers of acquisition-led marketing, in your opinion?
I mean, I love what you just described it. So it's so accurate a picture of what happens in a lot of these
It is.
a lot, funnily enough, what's most frustrating for me is the types of brands that are doing this are actually the ones that have the highest propensity for repeat purchase.
Oh,
And
definitely.
these are actually the things that you do buy over and over again. And I do feel that this approach is very damaging to customer loyalty. And I think
But they all do it. They all do it. Like,
people do it. And then it becomes not about loyalty, it becomes about convenience. As soon as if you're seeing that from My Protein and they're annoying you
mm,
and Bulk sends you a better offer, you're going to go to Bulk because you're like, well, fine, discounts all round, great, I'll go for the best discount I can get. And it stops being about the brand and it stops being about your relationship with the brand and it starts being about, okay, fine, I will go for the best price that I can get then. So
mm.
I think the problem with that is if you lose that preference, that brand preference, then you lose all the benefits that go with that. You lose the likelihood of someone leaving you a review. You lose the likelihood of someone referring you to a friend. You lose you lose the chance to really increase their customer lifetime value over time. It's you don't see the benefit with the first purchase. You don't see the benefit with the second purchase. It's really once someone's making 3, 4, 5 purchases that you start to offset the cost of actually acquiring them. So it feels like a very dangerous approach to me. I think also you annoy people. Exactly, you're a prime example. You're upset. You might have been loyal to any one of these brands, but you can see what they're doing and it's annoyed you. So I think it's the same with mobile phone providers, insurance companies, banks. They all do the same thing. They give their existing customers a worse deal than new customers, and it annoys you as an existing customer. And if you're annoyed, you're not feeling a lot of brand love. So I
Mm.
think, yeah, I think it's a very dangerous game to play. And I also think it's unnecessary because what you really want for these kinds of products is to be driving subscriptions. You want somebody to be just automatically signed up so that every time they run out of that protein, it's being replaced. And it's being replaced at a price that they're really happy with. And if you can actually, again, you can use things like subscriber tiers where you have a special tier for people who subscribe, and if they get 3 boxes or 3 bags of protein, they get the fourth one free because they're subscribed. You can implement lots of things that ensure that you get multiple purchases without having to send those silly discounts. And
Yeah,
I
and
think,
another thing,
long term, that's a far more sustainable approach.
that's what I think. And I mean, to my understanding, they do subscription models, but my thought process is, well, why would I subscribe to a certain percentage off if I am
Well,
confident I'll get a better discount at a certain time through the next month?
yeah,
So I'm locking myself into a subscription for not the best deal.
yeah,
Um, so I feel like, but for me anyway, I feel like these brands could do something to convert me as a customer, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, to a subscription. Every month, I probably spend around about £100 on supplements, give or take, and they are generally the same supplements every single month. They know
mm,
what I'm going to buy, they know how much they're giving me, and they know when I'm going to run out. If they can convince me that the subscription is going to be the best model for me, then I will do it. But I think the problem they have is they can't do that, or they don't seem to try to do that at all. I've not
no,
had one piece of content from them or an email. I've not had anything that said, James, we've noticed that you've spent X amount with us over the last 6 months. Actually, you've spent this, this, and this. Did you know that if you subscribed with us, you would have saved yourself 7% on what you've actually spent? Why didn't you subscribe with us for the next 3 months and we'll give you this for free or something like that as a goodwill gesture? Cool. I'll be
yeah.
like, yeah, Joe, what, sign me up.
And then, that again, they can get into the realms of if you're a subscriber, you'll be the first to try our new flavor.
Yeah,
People, there's a good example of that, but I can't remember their name. But yeah, if you're a subscriber, you get to try the new products before anybody else does. Then you start to think, okay, maybe I'll forego that slightly larger discount because I'm getting more value from being a subscriber than I am from not.
that's it. Yeah, Joe, as a top member, we'll chuck you in a free protein bar next time. This is our new
Exactly.
flavor. Please give us your feedback. Like those,
Exactly.
going back to that overall experience. Like, and I said, I
Yeah.
know they do some of these things, but if they do it as well as we've just said, then they need to communicate that better because I'm sure there's a big audience out there that are feeling the same frustration. In fact, everyone I know that buys protein feels the same way I do because we vent about it regularly. Oh, you're just going to place an order with one of them on one day, and then literally the following day you get an email from another one saying 5% extra off plus this for free or whatever, and you're just like, man, I just placed the order yesterday. How do you know that?
I don't think they need to erode their margins quite as much as they do. And I don't believe it is future proof, really.
No.
It just
But
does
also
not.
they just lie. Like there's no way that the standard price of that type of protein was 91.99. I'm sorry. No one is ever going to pay that. You just put that as a price there. So then it sounds like you're reducing more off.
Yeah.
And I mean that needs to be regulated, I guess, but that's a different conversation entirely. But it's just like give me a price, give me your best price. and sign up to a subscription, but make sure I know I'm getting the best price as a customer.
Yeah, 100%. And actually, it's really interesting. Conversations I've had with friends around Black Friday recently are very similar to this conversation. Nobody believes that they're getting a great deal at Black Friday. They just think that actually prices were hiked a little bit before so that they could be dropped. And then they're not buying at the beginning of the Black Friday sales because they believe they're going to be dropped another 4 or 5 times along the way.
So
And
I'm literally doing that at the minute.
yeah,
Oh,
it's crazy. And I think I saw a headline actually today from where they're calling brands out for doing this. They're calling brands out for actually these are not the best deals of the year at all. They're just being positioned that way. And
oh
then a
wow.
better one's going to come. And I think it's so frustrating for consumers.
Yeah, it is definitely. I mean, we all like to feel like we've been able to get a bargain, whether it's just one that we've stumbled upon by chance or whether that one we've been able to negotiate or whatever. But I mean, it's in our nature, right? So I think it's
It-
frustrating when we feel like we're being strung along and lied to a certain extent.
yeah, I would agree. It's not good for loyalty.
No, definitely not. I like the fact that it's starting to get called out, and do you know what, that's one of the real good things I think with social media is it gives everyone the platform to do such things. You go back 20 years, you wouldn't you might be able to find out that a brand's lying about something, but you can't communicate that to anyone outside of your friendship group. Now you can get it on Twitter, hashtag this, at this, and suddenly it's gone viral and everyone knows.
Yeah, I mean, brands need to be very careful of that because that's very real, and it could do you a lot of damage very quickly in this day and age. So,
Yeah.
better just to not do anything that could be tweeted about, I would say.
Well, they do say no such thing as bad press, but do you know what, maybe there is.
True, true.
Definitely for loyalty anyway. Brill. All right. Yeah, I think it's probably wrapped up there, Fiona. Thank you for joining me. Really, really enjoyed that conversation. It's been great.
But no, thank you very much for having me.
So I hope you've all enjoyed it as well. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you all next time.